Let's dive into the vast, quiet deserts of 4th century Egypt. This is where a group of early Christian monks started on a spiritual journey that was, well, pretty radical and, honestly, kind of bizarre. We're going to uncover the secrets of these men, who we now call the Desert Fathers. Okay, to get a sense of just how strange their world was, get this story. A monk, a guy named Macarius the Great, comes home and finds a thief stealing literally everything he owns. So what does he do? He helps the guy load up the donkey and then sends him on his way with a blessing. I mean, that just goes against every single modern instinct we have, right? It seems completely illogical. But for Macarius and the other desert hermits, this action was, believe it or not, the absolute height of spiritual wisdom. So what on earth was actually going on here? To really understand why Macarius would help that thief, we have to get our heads around the core philosophy that drove him. And it all came down to a path of total renunciation, a complete, no-holds-barred rejection of the world and everything in it.
You know, these guys were the real pioneers of Christian monasticism, and they were not interested in half measures. We're talking about living in remote cells, fasting for crazy long periods, and dedicating their entire lives to prayer. For them, worldly possessions weren't a blessing. They were a dangerous distraction.
And hey, if you think Macarius' story was strange, check this one out from his teacher, Antony the Great. A young monk wants to join him but secretly holds back some of his money. Antony's teaching method is, well, it's memorable. He makes the monk cover himself in raw meat and walk through the village. The lesson is brutal, but it's crystal clear. Being attached to money leaves your soul totally exposed to attack.
So what we have here are two very different styles, right? You've got Macarius, who's all gentle and peaceful, and then you've got Antony, who's just shocking and visceral. But their methods, even though they feel like polar opposites, were aimed at the exact same goal, achieving complete and total detachment from worldly things.
Okay, so here's the crucial point. All this, giving up everything, even helping a thief, it wasn't just about self-denial for the sake of it. No, that was just the necessary first step. It was the price of admission for gaining something way, way more valuable.
And this really gets us to the heart of their entire spiritual project. Why go to such insane extremes? What were they actually trying to become?
The core idea was that the soul had to be completely emptied out. Emptied of passions, attachments, all those worldly concerns, because only a soul that was purified and empty could become, as they put it, a throne and a dwelling place for the divine presence.
In this transformed state, it wasn't just some vague feeling of peace. They had a really powerful three-part image to describe it. The goal was for the soul to become. First, all light. What does that mean? It meant the soul was so purified that it was literally filled with the perceptible, radiant glory of God. This wasn't a metaphor for them, it was a real state of being.
Second, to be all face. This meant the soul wasn't reflecting its own ego anymore. Instead, it was radiating the very face and the likeness of Christ himself.
And third, to be all I. And this describes a soul that is just completely consumed by a pure spiritual vision, no longer clouded by all the distractions of the world.
This quote from the writings of Macarius just ties it all together so perfectly. Becoming all light, all face, all eye wasn't some abstract idea. It was a total transformation of the person into a vessel of pure divine love and joy and kindness.
And this brings us to a really key concept that came out of their experiences: the uncreated light. They believed that God's glory was a real, substantial, divine energy that a purified person could actually perceive and even participate in. It wasn't just created light like the sun. It was the light of God himself.
And for Macarius, this inner light was apparently so intense that it actually became visible. His followers swore that his face would literally glow in the dark. That's how he earned his nickname, the Glowing Lantern. His whole community became this incredible beacon of spiritual reality out in the desert.
Now you might be thinking, okay, cool story from the 4th century desert, but this radical idea of becoming a vessel of light, it didn't just stay there. It cast a glow that has lasted for centuries. I mean, this spiritual technology, this path to perfection, it had a massive influence. 1,000 years later, it becomes central to a major prayer tradition in the Orthodox Church. Then, fast forward to the 18th century, and John Wesley, the founder of Methodism, reads Macarius' writings and is so blown away that they help shape his own ideas of Christian perfection.
The core principle just kept enduring through the ages. The goal was always this deep inner transformation, where the human face would start to look like the divine, reflecting that uncreated light. It's such a powerful echo of Macarius's idea of becoming all face, isn't it?
And so we end with the question that kind of brings it all back home to us. For the Desert Fathers, true wealth wasn't what you owned. It was the light you contained. In our world, which is so defined by possessions and what we can accumulate, it really makes you wonder, what does it even mean to seek a different kind of wealth, a different kind of light?